Matt Vogel, 15 seconds of curtain, Matt Vogel.
What is for this? What is this for?
This is a podcast.
A podcast.
A podcast, yeah.
What's the podcast?
It's 15 seconds of curtain. Something I just said.
I don't know if I've agreed to that.
Let's have the podcast, and you can always agree later.
Okay.
Great. Welcome to 15 Seconds of Curtain, a Muppet fan podcast presented by toughpigs.com. This is the podcast where Muppet fans talk with notable Muppet fans about, what else? The Muppets. Our guest today has been a Muppet performer since 1996, most famous for his role as 80s Robot, but also currently responsible for some minor characters such as Floyd Pepper, Sweetums, Uncle Deadly, Count Von Count, Big Bert, and Kismet the Frog. Oh, sorry, that's Kermit the Frog. We are extremely proud to welcome Matt Vogel to the podcast. Hey,
Thank
Matt.
You, Joe. Hi there. How are you?
Good. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, you were talking not to me. You weren't reading my bio to me.
I was reading.
That wasn't because it helped me to remember. Oh yeah,
you were present.
That's who I play
for your intro.
Yeah.
I was reading it to you and to our millions of listeners who are listening to us right now.
Of course.
So that's for everyone and for myself. Yeah. I want to remind myself who I'm talking to.
It's good to get a reminder too of what you've done in the past and currently. Yeah.
Specifically, 80s Robot. We're going to really dive into.
Oh, I can't wait.
What makes 80s Robot tick, and that is a pun.
Yep.
So before we get into that,
I
want to ask you, Matt Vogel.
Yes.
What is it that you love about the Muppets?
This is like one of those two. There are two answers to this question. As a fan, I love comedy, and I love the broad kind of absurd comedy that the Muppets, especially in the Muppet Show, did. It just brings me great joy to watch. And as a performer, what I love about the Muppets is that I'm an actor.
Mm-hmm.
But I get to play, a frog and a robot and a giant bird and a vampire. I can play all of these different characters thanks to them being these beautiful creations. So
do you have like that background as an actor that you've wanted to play a whole bunch of different characters, or did that only come about because of the puppetry?
But really only, it came about because of the puppetry, I would say, because, I went to school to be an actor, and, your body, that's your instrument. That's it. So, depends on what you look like. Some people look more like, leading man material. Some look like character actors. I fall somewhere in between, probably. I don't know.
What do you look like?
I don't know.
For all our podcast listeners, you probably don't know what you look like.
I am a leading man.
You're very handsome.
I'm extremely handsome. No, I think that I have the ability to do both of those kinds of things. But you still are going to look like me,
right?
But the luxury, the great thing about being able to put on a puppet is that you can be wildly different than who you really are.
Right. So who would you say? All right. So here we go. Who is the character that you think is most like you, or the least like you? Like you get to jump into someone else's skin and do something that's completely out of the ordinary for your personal life.
That's true, Joe. But also, I do think, and this is kind of harkening back to what Jerry Nelson said to me a long time ago, and he said it, I'm sure it's something that everybody knows, it's these little pieces of you that you blow up into these bigger than life versions of yourself. So I am all of those things. There are parts of me that is that innocence of Big Bird and the obsessiveness of the Count, the parts of me that is the dumb mindedness of like New Zealand,
sure,
and then I think there's also that there's a quality. I really do think that there is a quality about me that is very similar to Kermit, that looking at the insanity around and trying to kind of let it be what it is.
Especially, you're also the Muppet Captain, which we'll get into.
Right. Yeah.
I feel like you are kind of, making sure that everyone is keeping on schedule and dealing with the chaos.
Kind of.
A lot of personalities.
Yeah, I mean, and you have to... I was just talking to my wife about this the other day. You have to let the performers be who they are. You know, on set, I also direct on Sesame Street, and you know, we shoot a whole street story in one day. That's like 14 pages we shoot in one day. That is a lot of material to shoot for a television show. Usually TV shows, they shoot a couple pages a day, and you know, that's pretty good. We shoot about 13, 14 pages a day, and we have to stay on schedule, and when you fall behind schedule, you know, that burden is on the director and the production team, but it can't be on the performers.
Right.
I have to let them, I'm very mindful of this. I feel like I have to let them be who they are, you know, because they have to maintain their personas of being on the show, you know, playing these characters that they are. So most of them are kids. So they're joking around on the floor, and they're laughing, and they're making each other, and they're talking, and they're, you know, meanwhile I'm over by the director's cart looking at the monitor and trying to figure out how we can, you know, navigate through the insanity that we have to shoot in that day. But I try not to impose that. Hey guys, we only have a certain amount of hours to shoot this.
Right, but you have to, because you only have a few hours to shoot.
Yeah, sometimes. Right. But and they're great about, you know, if I'm like, guys, please, I just need you to focus. They're like, what? No, they're like, they do, you know, snap to attention. They don't snap to attention.
Yeah, they say,
yes,
sir,
Mr.
Vogel.
Yeah, because I'm the captain. But they, you know, you have to kind of let them be. You have to keep that energy going, because they're trying to keep the energy up for a long time during the day to keep their characters alive and fresh and vital. Right.
So going back to, there's a piece of you in every one of these characters. Is that more difficult because 95% of the characters you perform were originated by other people? Yeah. So you kind of have to find, what is it about the Count that I relate to? What is it about Uncle Deadly that I relate to, or whoever it is?
Absolutely, yes. And maybe we'll take those two as examples. So the Count, very much Jerry, very much, you know, this obsessive. I mean, he made it such this great character that was so fun to watch, and that is really Jerry. A lot of his his beautiful voice and that part of himself that was obsessive about things that he blew up. And that's a little bit easier to kind of say, well, yeah, I can point to myself and things about myself that are the same. And so I am trying to honor what Jerry did, for sure. But I also have to keep it alive. I also have to keep it, you know, while I'm trying to acknowledge and honor what Jerry did, I have to kind of tilt it a little bit so that it is me. I can't try to do an impersonation, and I don't sound like Jerry. I do what I hear in my head when I remember working alongside Jerry as his right hand. I hear that voice in my head. That's the voice I hear, and it has changed slightly since I started doing it, and it becomes a little bit more the performer.
Right.
But the goal is still the same. It just, I can't help but try, but have part of me in there. It's easier to talk about the Count in that way because he's just obsessive about numbers. That's just his thing. But
it's a little more two-dimensional than some of the others.
But if you look at Uncle Deadly, so Uncle Deadly on the Muppet Show was this ghoulish character, this kind of dramatic, over-the-top character, which continues to be. But there was, I feel like, because we didn't see him for so long, and that what he was doing on the Muppet Show was such a specific thing, and what he was doing then in the movies and on the ABC show were so specific.
Right.
To, especially on the ABC show, to be kind of Miss Piggy's valet. It was such a specific thing that the writing that the team did, and then whatever it was that I brought to it, I felt that there was a little bit more license to elaborate on it and make it a little bit more, or a little bit less exactly how it was on the Muppet Show. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that you've had the opportunity to take this character who we all know and love, even though I don't think anyone could probably put their finger on why they love him.
No.
I think
I don't know.
they probably just love him because he's been around, because there's an action figure, because...
He's a cool looking puppet, too. He's just really cool.
Yeah, for sure.
And
he's got that great, like, Keith Carradine voice, or whatever it is.
John, I think it's
John Carradine.
John,
Whoops, yeah.
John, oh gosh, it's one of those, and now it's
right
in my head. It's one of those old radio theatrical beautiful voices that Jerry pointed to.
It's a very specific type of actor that he gets to play, and not just like what do you like twiddling your fingers.
He's not just the villain. He's not just something. What I currently they do tweets about him. Somebody does it. I don't do it, but somebody. Somebody
you don't write those tweets?
I don't. Can you believe it? So somebody at Disney, they do they handle the Twitter accounts for all the characters,
right?
And they write the tweets. This is a big secret, but this is why you come to this podcast.
You heard it here first, unless you heard it here somewhere else.
Anyway, it could be somewhere else. Who knows? But you probably already guessed that. Anyway, but somebody writes those, and for a while they were all like early on, they were all fashion oriented because in the series. He was this character that was, very fashion.
Well, and the series was still going on at the time when he started his Twitter account.
Yes.
Uncle by Deadly
is
his Twitter account.
Yeah, and when I had the opportunity to talk to the team that was creating the tweets, and I said, guys, don't make it just about fashion or even about acting. Mm-hmm. Make it about weird things that you wouldn't think, like he's got a bowling team or he loves to fix, classic cars, or he likes to knit. They're just weird things that you wouldn't think that you can't put. So I don't want to define him as one thing, as the actor, as the fashion designer. I don't want to define him as those things. I don't.
Yeah.
And in fact, when we did the ABC series, there was an episode where they had written, "We're going to go to Uncle Deadly's house," and they wanted to show what Uncle Deadly's house looked like. And I was like, "Please don't do that." And I'm like, "Why? We want to define what." I was like, "I don't want to say. I don't want to see. I want people to wonder what the heck where does he live?"
Yeah.
I don't want to say he lives in this house, or an apartment. I mean, I don't know where he lives in this place that you don't know where it is.
Right. It could be
very private,
like
about that kind of thing.
A penthouse in the city. It could be a cave. He's that kind of guy. It could be anything.
Yeah, it's lovely. It could have these lovely velvet curtains, or it could have like kitten posters all over. Who knows? But whatever it is, it's not what you're thinking it is.
Yeah.
For sure.
What I also appreciate about specifically with Uncle Deadly is you, as you're saying, you have an opportunity to add so much to his character to really stretch out that third dimension of who he is. Mm-hmm. And the core Muppet characters, or even like the secondary Muppet characters, and I'm not blaming the people behind the scenes for this as much as just the fact that they don't have a regular show. We don't get to see them quite as often. I feel like they've gone from 3 dimensions. They're slowly going down to 2. Like Fozzie is just a bad comedian. We don't get to see much more. You just don't have the opportunity to show much more beyond that.
It's really hard to. Right. I mean, but that is because you got to see a lot more on the series. Yep. It was just the series was tons of fun to work on.
Oh, I'm sure.
It was great fun to work on. We got to do things really that we'd never been able to do with the characters before. There were a lot of layers of, there were a lot of depth to them. A lot of 3-dimensionality was brought to the characters. Was it maybe the perfect project for the Muppets? No, I don't think so, because I don't think it's what people were expecting. I don't think it was what people wanted. There was a lot of cynicism and darkness in the show. Yeah.
Well, they didn't want to be there. That was, I think, the hardest thing. That was the thing that didn't track. And I've talked about this on this podcast before, but the idea that the Muppet Show, the Muppet Show within the Muppet Show.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a bad show. They're terrible at what they do, but they love doing it.
Yeah.
What quit show business? Like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And when they got to Late Night with Miss Piggy, nobody wants to be there. They're miserable.
Yeah.
And we might enjoy watching them be miserable sometimes, but for the most part, like, we can't really get on board with any of their internal passion.
Yeah.
And that's always been a bit of a struggle. But you were saying this is maybe not the very best project for them, but what would be? I think I know what your answer is going to be, but what would be the best project for the Muppets?
I mean, I think you would want to return them to where they were first seen. That's what they were created for. The Muppets were created for the Muppet Show. They are a repertory group of performers, varying levels of efficiency in their performance abilities, but that's what they are meant to do. They are meant to be these vaudevillian characters in a theater, you know. And the great thing, when we've Muppet performers have talked about this before, is that one of the great things about the Muppets is that they live in their own world, this Muppet world, when it works the best. They're in their own world. Mm-hmm. And the outside world is not put upon them. They're not placed in the outside world. That's when you have real world problems. You know, you have breakups, and you have, you know, sadnesses, and you have people being bitter and trying to have revenge, and like things that you saw in the series, which again, I loved working on. It was super fun.
Right. And there was some fun stuff in the show. Like,
absolutely.
I know for anyone who may not have seen the show, like, it's not just a downer the whole time.
No,
there's
it is
a lot
not.
of really fun stuff like peppered throughout.
Yeah.
That like I still look on fondly as like, I can't believe that we got a series where we got to see these
absolutely
things.
And I can't believe I got to perform in that. Like, there's a scene with Miss Piggy and Uncle Deadly, and he admits that they are friends, and like it's real to me. It is like a real moment, which is fun to play as an actor, but also nice to see these characters when you do see those moments of fondness. And there were a lot of moments of fondness between characters. Even Kermit and Piggy, even though they were at odds for a lot of the time, there were moments of fondness of you know, you could tell that they really did like each other.
Right.
You know, but
the thing that I've always said about the Muppets, and you know, there's a lot of talk about the Muppets sort of have a great mix of comedy and heart.
Yes,
and which is true. But the truth is, when you look back at the old stuff, it's like 95% comedy and 5% heart, because that heart stuff, it kind of sucker punches you.
Yes.
I think the best example is in the Muppet movie where Gonzo sings "I'm Gonna Go Back There Someday," and it's a really heartfelt song. It's beautiful. It's sung by the weirdest character there. And
then isn't that right after that you have that moment of Kermit, like that doubt, his doubt of like, have I led my friends down the wrong path? Why did we, like, that's really,
it's real, beautiful
and real stuff.
But if the script was flipped and most of the movie felt like that, and then you get like a sprinkling of you know, moving right along, or giant animal head popping out of the top of the building or whatever, and that's it, that doesn't work.
It does not work.
And you know, when we look at the 2015 sitcom and we see so much of that real with the funny stuff peppered in, it's like you just had to flip that script.
So much harder.
Just had to flip it.
Yeah, I think
that's
that's not a bad observation.
Yeah.
You know, but you have to earn that moment of heart.
Right.
You can't just be, even with the Muppets, you can't just expect that they're going to love this. You have to earn that moment.
I also, makes me think of the last two Muppet movies. And in rewatching the 2011 film, the Jason Segel Muppets, first of all, I hate that everything's called the Muppets. Yeah, I can't just say in the Muppets.
You mean the ABC series?
No, sorry, I meant the Muppets, not the Muppets.
But the Muppets, right.
But that movie there's a lot of really sad moments in that movie, because the Muppets are broken up, and there's all these characters who don't know where they belong, and et cetera, et cetera. But then you look at Muppets Most Wanted, and Muppets Most Wanted is like a non-stop. It is just fun, and like the serious moments are just plot related. Like you can like gloss over that stuff, or like it's a little drama. Oh no, there's an evil frog out there, that kind of stuff. But like it's so much fun, because you don't have to have that thing of Gonzo singing a sad song to the moon. You know,
right? Yeah, you don't.
Right,
there's a different kind of tone for it, for sure. And the 2011, The Muppets, starring Jason Segel and Amy Adams, that it does have a heaviness to it.
Right.
And there are certainly moments of lightness and happiness. And, you know, that was all the vision of Jason and James, and trying to, what is it? They're trying to kind of bring this, make you feel nostalgic for something. It
is heavy on nostalgia. It is reliant on nostalgia, which honestly the Muppets nowadays are reliant on nostalgia.
There's a big part of that, and I think that's fine.
Yeah,
that's totally fine. I don't have a problem with it.
I mean, it's funny, you look at like Disney Plus and a lot of the stuff that they're bringing back. It's like they wouldn't just do a new DuckTales show. Like they're relying on the nostalgia of DuckTales. Like there's a lot of stuff like that that they're kind of continually bringing out. And I know that there has been a Muppet show announced for Disney Plus that we probably can't talk about right now. Right. But it is exciting that kind of thing will exist. Yeah, maybe by the time this podcast comes out, I don't know. We'll see. I don't know.
Now, you don't mean do you mean the Muppets Now?
I'm talking about Muppets Now, which I believe it's filmed, ? Yes, it's filmed. So I'm assuming we'll see it.
I hope so.
I hope so too. Yeah. I mean,
you don't know. I don't know. Maybe
we're
not.
recording this in early February.
Yeah.
As of right now,
hope so.
nothing's been announced date-wise. But
Yeah, nothing. I don't even know
Yeah.
when it's supposed to be.
But there's been stuff that you guys have filmed that hasn't come out, right? Like I know there's like a Pigs in Space sketch that will never see the light of day, probably.
Yeah, probably never.
Yep.
It was funny too. It was very
I bet
funny.
it was. I bet it was.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then I mean, not that these were filmed, but like I always hear stories about like, oh, Kirk Thatcher was working on some project, or you know, so and so wrote a script. Yeah. It's like, wow, that stuff would have been great.
Yeah.
It's a shame that we didn't get it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. You know, we are underdogs. Muppets are underdogs,
right?
Which is great. Which means not everything is gonna
Right.
go. And
Well, it's a shame that the Muppets are underdogs because the Muppets as characters are underdogs. Like
Yes.
like within their universe, they are underdogs.
Yes.
They don't
They
need to
are.
be underdogs in the real world.
I
too.
agree, but you know, it's kind of the way it is. It's
Yeah.
and that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Right. So let's
You know, if we were huge, gigantic, and everybody just loved the Muppets, I mean, that would be amazing. How
I would be okay
incredible
with that.
would be okay.
Yeah.
But it's also pretty cool that there is this modest group of really dedicated fans,
Mhm.
and we really are conscious of that and want to deliver comedy to them that they will love.
Yeah.
That is the goal.
I will say, like being on the fan side of things, running a fan side. I mean, not just being a fan, but it's nice to know. You know, when it comes to like the really diehard fans, we know them. Like maybe I don't know every name or every face, but like I know a lot of them. They comment on our Facebook or they tweet to us or we've emailed before. Or they show up on our forum or whatever it is. If this was Star Wars, that wouldn't be the case. Star Wars is huge.
I know.
Like, there's no way that you could keep up with the people. And we have this personal relationship with our readers, with a lot of them at least. And of course, Muppets goes beyond just the diehard fans. There's a lot of there's all the casual fans.
Absolutely, and that kind of ripples on to the performers as well. I mean, some of us, not all of us, but some of us have social media accounts and we do interact with fans when they, you know, interact with us, you know, or we put something out there, people respond, and I certainly try to. I'm not the best at it, but I do try to respond to people if they have something to say. And it is. I do feel like it's an important component of the relationship between us in the Muppet world and those in the world of the fan of the Muppets.
Let's shift gears away from Muppets for just a second and talk about Sesame Street
a
little bit.
Okay.
So you're Big Bird.
That's right.
Which is insane, by the way. That like you're like basically you taught me how to read. Not you personally.
I didn't. No,
you are embodying the guy who was like there. He was like my first friend on television.
Well, that's all thanks to Carol Spinney for sure.
Oh, well, of course.
You know.
So as we're recording this, we're about a week out from we're just at Carol Spinney's memorial service, which was very touching.
It really
and
was.
Carol passed away about 2 months ago, as we're recording. So how does it feel now that he's gone, to be putting on that outfit and embodying that character?
It's sad. I mean, it is sad that Carol is gone. So there's never just one emotion.
Yeah, of course.
That follows something when somebody that you hold dear passes. Of course, there's a sadness for not seeing Carol again. There's also a sense of responsibility that comes with now it's on you, pal. As I look at myself in the mirror, it's on you now. And then there's a sense of calm, because I know that Carol was very comfortable with what I was going to do with the bird. He picked me when he was 65 years old, by the way, 20-some years ago, at a time when people were probably thinking, he's going to retire any minute, you know?
Right.
That's because he's 65, you know, that's what people do.
Yeah.
And he didn't.
What a gift, by the way.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That we got so much more time.
So
beyond
many
that.
more, 20 more years, which is great. And so I do feel this sense of calm. And, you know, I'm Debbie, his wife, is dear to me as Carol was. And both she and Carol trust me. with it. So that makes me not freak out about it. And I think when you're playing any of these characters, any of the characters that we have been handed the keys to, for lack of a more elegant phrase.
Handed the arm rods.
Right.
Yeah.
For any of us that have done that, it is a huge responsibility that we do not take lightly. It is, though, something that, for me anyway, I have to take that feeling, that sense of responsibility of like, oh my gosh, don't mess this up. And I have to kind of put that over there in the corner.
Yeah.
Because that's not the character. That's not what the character is. I'm not going to get anywhere by focusing on that and having anxiety about, am I doing a good job?
Right.
I have to focus on the character and who that character is and what that character meant to me, to the person that performed it before me, and to try to honor that person and the character.
What's interesting to me, too, is unlike your work with Jerry Nelson with The Count, where you were both sort of performing the character at the same time when he was unable to do puppetry anymore, there were times where you were performing Big Bird and Carol was performing Big Bird. Like, you were doing Journey to Ernie, Carol was Big Bird on the street, or even, there were times where you were performing everything about the character, and once in a while Carol would dub the audio. So how did that feel, basically having two puppeteers doing the same character, which is rare?
It's not ideal.
No,
I mean,
of course,
frankly, it's not ideal. It's not the way that we normally do things. For Journey to Ernie, the rationale, I believe, behind it was that it was going to be an insane amount of physical activity, which it definitely was, and very difficult to have Carol loop to replace the voice later. Very difficult, because it was so much, and at that time, I don't know, he was maybe nearing 70. It would have just been a very difficult thing to do. Looking back on that, I just feel like that was not a great choice. I feel like because what happens when you start to have more than one performer play a character is that it waters down the character. Which version? Which one's Big Bird? Which one is it? Because as I talked about before, it is inevitable that I will start to put me and who I am into Big Bird. It's just inevitable. And meanwhile, the character that Carol is playing, he is Big Bird.
He is Big Bird, right?
So
he can't not be Big Bird.
Yeah. So it becomes this. It just doesn't. It doesn't work for me. It does not work.
Yeah.
That's why we only have one performer per character. Maybe that was a lesson to be learned from that. I mean, I think the old story back in the day was that Jim was under the impression when Sesame Street started that any of them could just pick up the characters and play them. One time, Frank could come in and do Ernie, and that would be fine. And then they tried that, and they were like, "That is a terrible idea. Let's not do that."
What's interesting is we've actually found very recently a couple of episodes, I'm talking first 20 episodes of the show. Two that come to mind. One, we found Orange Oscar, that season 1 Orange Oscar, performed by Jim Henson. Yeah. Which is weird. Yeah. Super weird. And I just watched one the other day with the performer Danny Segrin playing Big Bird. Really? Which, man, I can't imagine. I mean, maybe Carol was sick for a couple of days.
It could have been.
We have 120 episodes to film, so let's just move forward.
It very well could have been. I don't know. But I do think that, and even if you look at the Muppet Show early on, the two Piggies, two Miss Piggies, and Richards kind of fell to the wayside, and Miss Piggy, as we know her, very quickly came, took center stage. Right. But it is certainly, I'm sure, appealing for the people in charge to think, we could have two people play these characters.
Right, yeah. Twice as much work.
Right.
We get the characters out twice as much.
Right.
We could put one on the road for the live show, while one's here in the studio.
But it ultimately is detrimental to your characters, because we are the souls of those characters, and to have two people do that, there are now two souls of the character, and it just feels flat to me. Yeah. Well, that's why I wasn't really that hot on Journey to Ernie.
Of course. Well, and the characters are not caricatures. Right. And if they were, maybe it would be a little bit easier. Yeah. But, when, especially, we were saying before, having the Muppet Show characters finally have an opportunity with the 2015 series where like, okay, we have a show every week. We can really develop the characters. They can have a unique voice that's not just like kind of an echo of the past.
Yeah.
And when you don't have one person who's really focusing on who is this character, where are they going, how are they evolving, then you're going to end up with that caricature. They're going to revert back to two dimensions.
Yes, and also then, because you have one person playing it, that one person is doing your show, and then also was on, Jimmy Fallon last week and remembers that, so that the next time they're on Jimmy Fallon, they're aware of that interaction. They have they have histories outside of whatever show they're on.
Yeah.
Kind of real world histories, real life histories.
But that has to be difficult for you. So like playing someone like Big Bird or Kermit the Frog, who has like met a million celebrities and had all these productions that you actually, Matt Vogel, were not present for.
Yep.
So when you like meet Elton John and Elton John's like, hey, remember when we hung out on on the Muppet Show stage, and you get to go, yeah, of course I do, even though you're like, dude, was I what happened in that episode?
Yeah.
Like, can I reference whatever?
Me as a person have met lots of people before that then I don't remember when I meet them again, and they can be famous people or just regular people, and that just that happens to not just Kermit the Frog or Big Bird, but it probably also happens to Elton John.
Yes,
we met before. Do you remember when we did that thing? And he's like, yes, yeah, sure. Right. There. I think that kind of it works both ways. One time we were doing just an appearance somewhere, and it was a couple of us, and the audience had a chance to come up and talk. This is very early on when I was doing Kermit the Frog, and I'm going to get this wrong, but a woman came up, and she took to the microphone, and Bill was there as Rolf, and Eric was there as Piggy, and I had Kermit the Frog on, and she said, "I just want to say something to the characters." And so she said, "Rolf, you taught me how to be, you taught me that I could be a musician. You taught me that I could play the piano. And Miss Piggy, you taught me how to be a fierce woman. You taught me how to be this, strong person. And Kermit the Frog, you taught me about heart and love and kindness." And she started to cry, and, I started to cry, and we all started to cry. She wasn't talking to me.
Right.
I didn't, mean a thing to her, but that character, that frog or that dog or that pig, they really meant something to her, to the point of, even though she knows that we are not Jim or Frank, she wanted to tell those characters what they meant to her. And I carry that with me, that these characters mean a lot to people. And it is our, again, responsibility and duty to try to meet what their expectation is and what their desires are for these characters. Sometimes we're going to meet that. Sometimes we're not going to meet that. But we're always trying to meet that responsibility. We're trying to meet that, I would say.
Yeah, that's great. I do have one more question about Big Bird before we move on from there. How the hell do you do that? Like, I try to, like, in my mind, like, you got the little monitor on your chest.
Yes.
You can see what the camera sees.
That's right.
But you're not just, like, you don't just have a hand puppet who's like, I have to move left or right or up or down. You're a full-bodied character,
right?
You're around other people.
Yep.
There are obstacles nearby.
Right. Yes, all of that.
And everything's reversed.
Everything's reversed on the monitors.
How do you do that?
It has taken a long time, and even now, Carol was just fearless.
Yeah.
He would not. I mean, he's fallen off stages.
Yep.
He has, run into chairs and fallen over, and he roller skated, for God's sake.
He unicycled.
He was amazing.
It's insane.
I can't. I'm going to practice roller skating for something that we have to do. So I'm going to practice that, and I've done it once before, but not to the effect that Carol can do, because he just was a roller skater. He had grown up, and he knew how to roller skate. Which, me, not so much. Certainly not as good. And but inside that puppet, first of all, somebody has to put me in that puppet.
Right.
So a wrangler comes and they pick the puppet up off a big stick and they put me in the puppet. I've got I think Carol called it an electronic bra, but it's like a harness that has a monitor on it. There's a microphone next to the monitor. There's like batteries on the monitor and a receiver that's on the monitor. It's all like wired up. There's a lot of wires. And then, so the puppet gets put on me. My right arm goes up inside the head, and it's your hand, your forefingers are on top of the mouth, the beak, and my thumb is on the bottom of the beak, and that's how you make the mouth open and close. And then my pinky is outside the, there's a little like a cup in there that holds my hand in place, a little strap. And my pinky is outside and moving the eyes so the eyes can go up or down based on the emotion of the scene. It is super uncomfortable.
Yep.
It is not light. And all of the weight, when you see Big Bird, you think, oh, he's standing straight up. Well, no, we're very rarely standing straight up as the puppet. We're leaning forward, at least with Big Bird. He's leaning forward because he is so tall, and I am a tall person, so I'm even taller than what Carol was. The puppet has to lean over. We have to lean forward with Big Bird. So there's a great deal of weight that is on my thumb.
Wow.
And everything is just pulling forward on account of gravity. So everything is going forward. So it's working against that gravity to try to keep the puppet up, and also try to make it look like a natural, like make it look like a real bird.
Right,
and make
he needs
it
to be
look
alive.
Light.
Yeah.
That's not easy.
Is all of the weight of like the entire yellow portion of Big Bird on your hand, or is there something that's kind of resting on your shoulders?
It's a little bit of both. So it's the bird is put together in 3 parts. Mm-hmm. There's the piece called the yoke, which is like the bottom part. There's like a little it's like one of those t-shirts that
like an A-line t-shirt, not
that's
like a tank top. Right?
Yes, like a tank top.
Okay.
Thank you for giving me words.
Yep.
But it goes out, and then it creates the bottom part of the puppet, and then attached to that is the neck piece of the puppet, and inside that neck is something called a helix, which is a piece. It's got boning inside that spirals up toward the top of the head, toward the bottom of the neck, or the top of the neck, and that adds support. So if you remember in the old days, you could really see Carol's head kind of poke out the side.
Yes. Yeah.
There was no helix in there to give the puppet shape. So once they put a helix in there, that served 2 purposes. 1, to kind of hide the performer's head.
Right.
And 2, to give a little bit of support as the puppet was going up.
Right.
It also adds weight. Then the head is attached to the top of the neck. Uh-huh. And I mean, it's 4,000 feathers or something like that, maybe 6,000, I forget. Mm-hmm. And it's heavy. It's not easy.
How long can you last inside of Big Bird before you have to get your arm down? Have you timed yourself?
Well, the longest that I've been in Big Bird is doing the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, which is starting up at 81st or 79th Street and going all the way down to 34th Street. So it's about an hour. Mm-hmm. I can't stay up the whole time. People say, well, can't you have a stick in there or something to put your arm up? Yes, you can. But I have noticed, and we do have something that kind of works a little better now, but I've noticed that they did have this thing that would go on it was like a pole, and then it had a little comfy
You've used
thing.
that at the Outside Lands show in
kind of, yes, kind of like that. But this, in Big Bird, tends to compress everything in my arm, and then my arm just starts to fall asleep.
Oh,
from the pressure above of the puppet coming down.
Just crushing your forearm.
Yeah. So usually what happens is our wrangler, usually Michelle Hickey, comes out and she says, "Big Bird, do you want a hug?" And I lean over. This is during the parade, going down like 64th Street or whatever, and she'll come out and I will say yes, and I will lean over onto Michelle, and she will support the weight of the puppet while I pull my hand out of the puppet and put my hand down to let blood just drain back down into my arm.
Sure.
The longer my arm stays up, the more tingly it gets from, the blood quickly leaving my arm. And then I do that 3 or 4 times. I don't know how many times, but all the way down to 34th Street.
So you're not able to like switch arms with Big Bird?
No.
Because I know, so this is going to sound like it's off topic. You played the Coca-Cola Bear for in Atlanta, is that right?
Or not in Atlanta, but we would go, so John Henson played the Coca-Cola Polar Bear, and he brought me in as his understudy, and his second. So when he didn't want to go to the grocery store opening in Arkansas, I went.
Oh, so it was for like live events and stuff?
Yes, it was usually grocery store opens or corporate events or things like that. And then it did become something where I think they have it at the World of Coke down there.
I was at the World of Coke in Atlanta a few years ago, and we stood in line to meet the Coca-Cola Bear, as you do.
Like you do.
And I'm watching it because I'm fascinated by puppets, and I'm going to let a secret or two out about this, but I'm watching him and I'm going, how is he keeping his arm up for so long? Like, it's kind of amazing. And then every once in a while I'd see his arm would go limp, and then you'd see him kind of shuffle around for a second, and then you see the other arm come to life, and it's like, oh, he has a thing in there where he can get his arm inside, switch the head, and then just kind of switch arms back and forth.
How long was he out there?
If I had to guess, maybe a half hour.
Wow.
Maybe less.
Long time.
It's a long time.
Well, when we first did it, it was a prototype bear, and so they've now kind of probably perfected it. And some of the technology that was used for that, I believe, was technology that was then used for Bear in the Big Blue House, I think.
Yeah, I believe you're right, because they're both Henson built.
Yeah, and it's kind of a similar build, sort of. And so there was this prototype, which was heavy, and it almost, you could take your hand. I remember being able to take my hand out of the head, and it would just sit there. It would not.
Oh, interesting.
Flop, because my weight and height, it kind of had this thing that went over the top, and it wouldn't fall. It wouldn't fall or anything. And you had to be. I'm left-handed. I'm a left-handed person, but I'm a right-handed puppeteer. Well, for the Coca-Cola Polar Bear, you needed to be a left-handed puppeteer.
Oh, interesting.
Because they wanted you to be able to shake hands with people.
Right.
And so, I was very upfront with John when I met him. I said, I'm left-handed. Yes.
Right.
But I'm a right-handed puppeteer, but I will figure out how to do it.
Right.
And he's like, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
He did not. He was very cool.
Yep.
He was just like, yeah, okay.
I believe Jerry Nelson did the same thing for the Two-Headed Monster. Whichever one is on the other side, I don't remember if it was Jerry or Richard, but one of them had to just I guess I'm performing this character left-handed because it's the only way to make it work.
Yeah, it was Jerry.
Right,
Jerry's,
yeah. So let's talk real quick about Constantine.
All right.
Because you starred in a movie, which is amazing. You were the star of a movie.
I know, it's crazy.
So, is it weird that first of all, you helped develop this character, which is fantastic and so much fun, and I hope that we see Constantine again someday.
Who knows?
Who knows?
I don't know.
We'll see.
But
is it weird that you had this character who was doing an impression of Kermit the Frog, and then a few years later, you are performing Kermit the Frog?
Yeah.
Is that?
that was never the plan.
No, of course not. Yeah.
But no, my goal with that movie with Constantine was that he was people very well may agree with this, but that Constantine was the world's worst Kermit impressionist.
Right, of course.
And people may feel that way about me, and that is fine. That is okay. Everybody has their Kermit.
We can't control people's opinions.
You can't, and that's okay. But to get to be as stupid as possible was so much fun. I actually felt that he was. And you have to be careful with the really dumb ones because they can be really dangerous.
Right.
Especially somebody that thinks they are the world's most dangerous frog.
Well, someone who is also an explosives expert.
Yeah.
Yeah. A suitcase full of bombs.
Yeah. I treated that character as he was the real bad guy.
Yeah.
He was a bad guy. He just was not very smart. And I also tried to make my goal to make Ricky Gervais laugh every day.
Good.
Which
did you?
Oh, absolutely.
Although it seems like he's the kind of guy who laughs at everything.
He doesn't laugh at everything, but he does love Muppets, and so to get him to laugh, it's once you've figured out the key, you kind of jiggle that key a lot if you can.
Yeah.
But it was a fun character to play, and it was great to be able to develop it with James to come up with a character out of that he had kind of written, but he wasn't exactly sure what it was going to be, and we kind of, I had a dialect coach, and we tried to pick ways to make him sound dumber, really. To make him sound less intelligent.
Right.
Just to really hammer home, there's some, what does he say, burglary? But he can't say burglary.
Right.
I don't know. And that just happened on set. It was not in the script. It just happened, and then we made it part of the movie. It was so much fun to play that character. I miss that bad frog.
Well, and again, being able to create a character from scratch, which is rare for the Muppets.
It is.
And really getting to play with it and see what's the most fun, what's going to be the most successful for this guy. And
whatever I do is the way it is. It's not that's the way it, people can like it or not like it, but there's nobody else that's done it before me. It's just me.
Right. Yeah, you cannot get it wrong.
Yeah.
Which probably takes a lot of pressure off. Except for the fact that you're also starring in a big budget movie, which puts the pressure back on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can't think about the pressure.
No.
You can think about it when you're not at work, but when you're at work, it's hard to.
I was thinking if you're playing a character like Telly or someone who's naturally nervous,
then it's cool.
Let the pressure in.
Right. You
Use
almost
it.
have to. Yeah. Right. Absolutely. You have to do
that. So Kermit the Frog.
Yes.
Can we talk about how you got the role? Can we talk about the process?
Oh, I don't know how much I can talk about, Joe.
All right, well, let's talk about what was it like, kind of feeling like you're gonna go in for this audition. You're in line for, like, potentially you get to be Kermit the Frog.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know. I had no idea if I was going to even be called back.
Of course. Yeah.
You know, I put myself on, it was just an audio audition, I think, if I remember correctly. Yeah, because nobody had puppet. It was just the audio audition, I think. And then based on that, I believe they called people in, and Brian Henson was there, and Debbie McClellan from The Muppets was there. And we had the puppet, and we performed a couple of scenes. We performed the scene from the Muppet movie where Kermit stands up to Doc Hopper and says, you know, I've got a whole bunch of friends. That scene. And we sang, I think it was Rainbow Connection. If it wasn't, it was Being Green, but one of those. I think we sang Rainbow Connection.
Sure.
And that was that was here in New York. And then after that, there was another audition, and they brought us out to LA. And I don't know how many people were brought in. I'm guessing that each time it was whittled down. And then they brought in, we had that audition in LA. And again, it was doing maybe the same scene and maybe adding another scene to it. Mm-hmm. And then from there was a workshop, a series of workshops with 4 people. Mm-hmm. And that was out in LA, and that happened like over the course of, I want to say, a couple of months.
Wow.
And it was long. It wasn't consistently for those like 8 weeks, but it was, you know, a week on, a week off, a week on, a week off, something like that. And we were out there doing, you know, interacting with Brian, and he was very candid with us about, you know, what he thought was good, what he thought was not good, how we could get better, what he was, you know, he knew his dad very well. And so he was able to kind of impart wisdom on us about how Jim saw the world. And we tried to bring what we saw as that version of Kermit, because the objective, the directive was, we want it to be the version of Kermit that is closest to Jim Henson. We want it to be that version of Kermit. Not to take away anything from Steve's, but that was the directive that we were given. Keep
it close to the roots, as opposed to getting further and further,
I think so,
off track.
Yes, I think so. And so we had that series of auditions, and then after that, there was a lot of not hearing anything. So it's like, you know, you're waiting to hear if you got a job, you know, and you need that job, or you'd really like to have that job.
Well, and not just any job, but like, you know, you're waiting on, I don't know, for the election results or something.
Yeah. It is that. Like, it is whatever that thing is, and I'm an anxious person, so it was nerve-wracking, because it was weeks and maybe weeks and weeks. And I remember it was in April of 2017, the end of April, that I got a phone call that said, you are Kermit the Frog. And I mean, that's a huge, it's happened to me a couple of times in my life with Big Bird and with Kermit, that it's a heavy phone call. It's hard for me to kind of, my wife was like, she was freaking out. She was so happy, and my kids were all jumping up, and I'm just like, She's like, why are you happy? I'm like, no, I'm totally happy. I'm just in shock. I'm just in a state of shock right now.
And it's got to be kind of terrifing too. Like, you've just been you've been handed the keys to everything. You've been, I mean, also you have grown up as a Muppet fan before you got to work with these guys. So
absolutely,
the fact that you are now, I mean, God, you are two of the most important characters in the history of Muppets.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
Am I freaking you out right now by saying that?
I'm getting very.
Please don't screw this up, Matt.
I'm starting to panic, Joe. No, I know it is a big deal, and again, it has to be that thing where, for me, I acknowledge that, absolutely 100% acknowledge that it is very important, and there is a huge amount of responsibility, and again, meeting those fans, like what they are expecting. That is my goal, but at the end of the day, I have to be the character. I can't let that eat into my brain, because I have seen performers be worried about playing what it is that they're playing, and they can't do it, and you can just see them crumble, and they're and very hard to recover from. So something like that.
Who is Kermit to you then? Like if you really had to boil down, who this character is, and you have to kind of hit certain notes to make sure that you are playing Kermit the way that you feel he should be played.
Mm-hmm. I never knew Jim, but I have had the unique pleasure to work with several of the people that worked with him for years, from Carol Spinney to Frank Oz I've worked with, to Steve, to Dave, and they all exude this presence, or it's hard to put my finger on it. And I've watched a lot of interviews with Jim, especially in the Kermit audition time. I watched every interview that I could find with Jim, just to hear his voice, just to hear what he sounded like, and just to try to get in that headspace of who he was. And I've talked to Dave Goles a lot about who Jim was, because first of all, the directive was, we want Kermit to be like Jim Henson. And to me, I always, as a kid, associated Kermit with Jim Henson. That he was my Kermit, And so although I never knew him, that is who I see in my head, or that is who I'm trying to emulate or honor, picture. That's what I'm trying to go for, I think. And that Muppet Show, specifically that Muppet Show Kermit, where there is a sense of he is the guy in charge, but he's just barely in charge. Now, I know that Jim, in his world, really was in charge, and although he did not act like he was in charge, people just kind of gave him that respect and responsibility, but he wasn't like a dictator when he was working. He was very gentle.
Just everyone knew that he was the guy.
He's the guy, and everybody was working to, toward Jim's vision. So I guess that would be my answer. I try to picture that Muppet Show, Jim Henson time of Kermit for me.
Yeah.
And that means that he can be funny, he can be irreverent, he can be a little smarmy, which I love doing because I'm a smarmy person myself.
Yeah, I was just going to tell you to tone down the smarm,
just take
please.
it. Yeah, but I'll say things to my wife and she'll be like, well, that sounded sarcastic. And I'm like, no, that's just my voice. Like, that is my voice sounds sarcastic.
Oh, yeah, it was real sarcastic.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to be sarcastic. It just, but I do feel like I can grab those pieces and then I can blow them up, who I am and who I see myself as in that character.
That's great.
Did that make any sense?
It made a lot of sense.
Jared, good luck finding what that meant.
Jared, our editor, because we edited out all this stuff where we said hi to Jared.
So
Nobody knows what we're talking about. I know. But I think that's the great thing about Kermit, is that Kermit is so many things to so many different people.
Yes, he is.
And he is also so many different things, like within one production. Like, he is the guy who is in charge. He's the guy who's losing his cool. And he's the guy who is performing but also doesn't want to get on stage. And he's bending over backwards for Miss Piggy, but he's also like demanding something from Scooter. Yeah. And like there's a lot going on between those ping pong balls. Yeah. And they he's that center in the eye of the storm. He's everything around him, the crazy's going on around him. Sometimes he gets pulled into it. Sometimes he's able to kind of rein control over it. But so, I do feel like for me, I'm still, it takes a long time to feel comfortable with something, especially when you're trying to carry on the footsteps of someone else. Right. Jim, and someone that you can't ask. Right. And you can't just pull up a video where he's talking about his craft.
Right. But in that case, I rely on Dave Goles.
Yeah.
Who is very candid and helpful.
Yeah.
And
what a gift that he's still not just around, but he's active. Yes, he's there for all your Muppet projects.
Yeah, I know. It is he's the best. The crazy thing about all of this that I get to do is that I, first of all, never in a million years would have dreamed that it is a job that I could do or be able to do or get to do.
Yeah.
And the other part of it is that I never would have dreamed that I got to work with people that I so admired and looked up to. And that means a lot to me.
Well, I can totally understand that because I'm very grateful that I get to be around you and the other Muppet performers every so often. Not doing your craft, but at least, just kind of being in your shadow.
Well, but you're helping us, not us, but you're helping the characters. You're helping the Muppets and Sesame Street. You're kind of like bullying us. You're helping to keep us going. I think it's an important component of what we do. The fan component is obviously very important.
Yeah.
And then you're kind of that conduit between us and, all the fans. And you're a fan yourself.
Yeah.
And I think it's an important part. I really, really do.
I'm very
And I'm
happy
grateful that you asked to speak to me.
Oh, of course. I'm grateful that you're here to speak to me.
There's a lot of gratitude going on here. Right
yes. Now. And thanks to everyone who's listening. And thanks to Jared who's editing this.
Yeah.
And everyone. All right, so as promised from the beginning of the interview, I do actually want to talk about 80s Robot. Okay. But only because I want to tell you this story, which I'm sure you remember. Right. Years ago, after the first Muppets movie, and it was out on DVD, we decided through Tough Pigs we wanted to have a DVD release party, and we invited you and Eric Jacobson to come to an event that we were hosting in Brooklyn.
I remember.
And because we were also upset that there was no DVD commentary.
I know.
This was at a time when, for some reason, Disney did not want to acknowledge the fact that they were puppeteers. Right. And thankfully, it seems like they're going in a better direction nowadays. Yes. But at the time, it's like, it actually makes the magic more special when you know what's going on behind the scenes.
It does.
So we invited the two of you to come to do a live commentary for the movie, which we wrote up most of the details you talked about. We put it on an article in Tough Pigs. And there was a moment, we did some Q&A, and someone in the audience asked Eric if he could do the Miss Piggy voice. And we know, like, I'm ready to jump in and say, actually, it's not, they don't just do voices, they do puppetry, and they do choreography, and they do comedy, and there's so much more to it. It's not a party trick. That's what Frank Oz would say. It's not a party trick. Right. But Eric, for some reason, decided, no, I'll do a party trick. Yeah. So he turned around, he put his back to the audience, and he said, everyone close your eyes, pretend that Miss Piggy is standing in front of you, and he did Miss Piggy's voice for a moment, which was incredible. And I think you felt like, well, I'm here too, what can I do? And he said, all right, now pretend 80s Robot is in front of you, and you went beep, 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 I'm 80s Robot. Right. Which was hysterical. But also looking back on that, and like, you're even at that point, you were one of the core puppeteers, was what, 8 core Muppet Show puppeteers, something like that. You are a very important part of that group. But at the time, your main character, I mean, not counting your characters that you had inherited from Jerry Nelson, but your main character was 80s Robot. Yeah. And, which is, by the way, a fun character, and I hope that he comes back someday.
I doubt it.
I doubt it too.
Who knows?
I love the potential. I love the potential for 80s Robot.
Never know.
Yeah. But, incredible that, like, at that point, it's like, yeah, Matt and his cute little robot puppet pal. Yeah. And now it's like, oh no, you're Big Bird and Kermit the Frog. Yeah. There's no question in there. I just think it's fascinating.
I agree with you in the fascinating comment. I do. I have nothing to say to it except for I'm very, very grateful.
Well, can you say something in the voice of 80s Robot? Is really
what you're trying to get me to do?
Please, no, actually, it's not a party trick. You don't need to do it. No, it's fine. There's so much I want to ask you. Normally at this point, like I'm asking about the movies, what you watched as a kid, and Fraggle Rock, because you've never worked with that property, and what your brains and stuff. And I do want to know all these things. We might have to do a part 2 someday.
That's fine. Well, I'm happy to do it.
But let's finish this off by asking you, who is your favorite Muppet? Both the characters that you perform and the characters that you do not perform. This has got to be something that people ask you like on a regular basis. I feel like this is the number one question that I get all the time.
It's not. I don't know. Most people say like, well, who does the voice? that's usually the question we get. Or they say, well, who's puppeteering it? They don't quite get that it's everything.
They don't know how puppets work. Yeah. They just think, really, how do Muppets work?
How do they work?
Yeah. Which is really, it's funny because I also asked that question about Big Bird earlier. How does Big Bird work?
Yeah. Well, but you know, you're a little bit on the inside. You know what the heck
It's true. But I still, there's so much I understand the how things work, but also I don't. Yeah. Because it's complicated what you do, and I have so much respect for it. But also like I can hold a puppet in the air, but put me in that costume, I will be falling over my feet, those giant feet.
I know.
You must fall all the time, by the way, right?
No, I don't.
Have you ever fallen while wearing a costume?
I'm sure I have, but nothing major. I'm super tentative when I'm inside because if I can't see where I'm going, I will stop. And I also have people there that are like wrangling me and they're like, "Stop!
Yeah,
don't move, Matt, go back to stop."
I also
they'll stop me.
Imagine that like if you fall the wrong way and you like dent the beak or break off the tail, like that's an expensive
that is a very
mistake.
expensive fall. Yeah, it is. So to answer your question, who's my favorite Muppet that I play? This is going to sound like I'm not picking a favorite, but I truly do. There are pieces of every character that I play that I love.
Oh, you're not picking a favorite. No,
I'm not. I mean, but I can say, but I will say I love Big Bird for his innocence. His childlike innocence that I see when my kids were little. That's the connection for me, is that, putting that out there. For the Count, I see, first of all, it's Jerry, but also it's that obsessive quality that is just so excited about numbers or insert whatever it is for you. That's obsessive, the excitement, the joy that he has about counting to any number at any time is infectious, and I love it. I'll name a few others. Floyd, again, for me, what I love about Floyd is that, again, for me, it is Jerry, whom I just adored. And he is just cool. He is cooler than I could ever possibly dream of being. And then I will pick Constantine. The thing that I love about Constantine is his delusional state of mind that he thinks he is, and he is impressive.
Oh, sure.
With his, ability to fight Russian guards and, his techniques and his bomb-making abilities. But he is delusional in the fact that he thinks he is good at everything, including, his Kermit impression. And then I will say Kermit the Frog, just because he's never somebody that I was like, one day I'm going to play Kermit the Frog, because
that's insane.
Yes.
Right.
But I just love the heart, and not only the heart, but the kind of the rough edges too of Kermit that are fun to play and that I'm enjoying discovering. And I got to say Uncle Deadly too.
I mean, yeah.
Just because I can say anything that comes to my mind. I did something recently where somebody interviewed Uncle Deadly on the Disney cruise, and Ryan March interviewed Uncle Deadly, and I had planned kind of what I was going to say with Kermit and stuff, because I just need some of that. I need some guidance in there. But with Uncle Deadly, I was just like, he's just going to say whatever comes out. And we did it 2 times, and both times he said very different. He said very different things. It's one of those things where you just kind of, I'm letting whatever's inside of me come out of him, and it just is what it is.
That's great.
And it's so much fun. So I will say that. That is my very long answer.
So what do you love about Hansel?
Hansel
is
like breadcrumbs.
He loves throwing. He loves them, but he also loves getting rid of them.
Yes, he does. Yeah. Favorite character that somebody else plays?
Yeah. I mean, or like a character that like maybe you grew up with. I mean, you can't say Kermit the Frog because you've already talked about him. But like someone maybe not necessarily now since you're so close to it, but like is there someone that you identified with really closely as growing up before you worked with the Muppets?
I have a couple there. Let me think of what that would be. So as a kid, I loved Rolf the dog. Loved Rolf. I don't know why. I had the Rolf puppet. Was it a Fisher Price puppet?
Yeah, the old one in the 70s.
In the back, yeah. Mm-hmm. I loved that puppet, and I loved his ears and how I think there was something about the visual of what Jim was doing with him that I just loved about him.
I actually have a picture of you in the Rolf. I mean, this doesn't work on a podcast, but I'm showing you a picture of you with Rolf.
That's him.
Is that your brother?
That's Kermit? My brother Jason, and he has a Kermit the Frog puppet.
Yep.
And
weird, right?
Like it is weird.
Like I mean, I think the same thing when I look at pictures of myself with my old Sesame Street or Muppet toys.
Yeah.
And to go, wow, like I know those guys now, or like I've worked with them, or I have all these like actual real life experiences them as an adult.
It is crazy. I would say for the older characters, I'm going to say Rolf. I'm going to commit to that, and I'm going to say I just loved the way he moved. I loved how he I really thought he was playing the piano as a kid. It just looked so good.
It did.
And Jim's voice is just so great. And then I'm going to say, just because he is Uncle Deadly's cohort, I'm going to say Bobo. Because Bill Beretta just makes me laugh.
Yeah.
And whatever comes out of that bear makes me giggle.
Well, and again, Bill was in the right place at the right time with all those Muppets Tonight characters, where he was creating new characters for the Muppets for the first time in God knows how long. Yeah. And when you're doing that, and you can have them say literally anything, and it's in character. Yeah. Then you get these classic characters like Bobo and Pepe and Johnny Fiamma and all that. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, Bobo's great. Bobo is around my house is quoted quite often.
Yeah, it's just something about his delivery. It's just this very flat, deadpan little delivery that I love. And I'm going to say another one.
That's okay. Say as many as you want, man.
So I love... See, I'm a Muppet fan. I am a Muppet, I am and have always been a Muppet fan. I had an entire room in my parents' house after I went to college that was a Muppet room.
That's the dream, by the way, for me.
It's not there anymore, but because I eBayed everything.
No!
Almost everything. Not everything, but almost everything. I don't know. I guess I was moving to New York. I needed money.
No, you needed money. No, I get it.
I regret a lot, like all the lunch boxes from the Muppet Show. I eBayed those. I just was like, I can't take them with me. Yeah. But I end up phone. I have that. I have the Kermit phone.
The one where he's leaning back and his foot in the air. Yeah, which is from a well-known Jim Henson photo, where it's like on his mantle or something like that. Yeah, which is why I've always wanted it. I've never gotten around to getting it.
And I got it the old-fashioned way through some sort of it was on the interwebs, but it was some do you remember they were alt shopping?
Oh yeah,
I don't know what they are.
The old news groups.
Yes, that's what it was.
Sure, alt.muppets.tv or something like that.
So whatever it was, it was I don't remember something Muppets stuff. I don't know. And I put it out there, searched for Kermit phone, and somebody had it, and that's how I got it.
Oh, great.
But I digress.
So the Kermit phone is your favorite character. Got
it. Yes. So I have to say Gonzo. Mm-hmm. And I don't know that he was my favorite back when I was a kid. I certainly loved him, but now working with Dave Goelz, I can see how Dave is Gonzo. He, as a person, comes up with these crazy, hilarious thoughts and comments and notions, and and it's just like Gonzo, exactly like Gonzo for me. So I have a very soft spot in my heart for Gonzo because of that, because of knowing Dave. Really,
I'm gonna tell another quick story, which I hope you remember, that is related to Dave Goelz. So. Again, a few years ago, we were doing those Muppet Vault shows, those live shows, and we must have been celebrating a new Muppet movie or something like that. And we had written to you to see if we could get videos of some of the Muppet performers reading our trivia questions. So we did trivia and giveaway prizes. And you went above and beyond, and you edited together this amazing video, and you got every performer who was there to do something. Yeah, it was an incredible video, and I cherish it now. But what was funny is we gave you the questions beforehand. It was 3 sets. I think it was 2 sets or 3 sets of 3 questions. But you added a 4th question at the end of each one from Dave Goelz. And the questions were, let's see if I can remember them. One of them was a trivia question: what is gravel made of?
These were Dave's questions.
Hilarious. One of them was, is it okay to have patio furniture in the dining room? And the last one was, what happens when you die?
Oh, God. Yeah.
So, yes, Dave is very Gonzo.
That right there, those 3 questions, that is Dave Goelz.
Yeah. Amazing.
It really is.
Wow. Well, Matt, thank you so much for being here. This has been an incredible hour of my life.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
So I hope we can do this again sometime.
All right.
I hope everyone
absolutely want to do it again if you're that hungry for me yammering on. Then
yes,
fine.
We love a good yammer.
Yeah.
Here on Tough Pigs. So thank you everyone for listening. I hope you enjoyed. Please follow Tough Pigs on all the social media channels. Matt is on Twitter at Welcome Matt V. Is that correct?
I was going to say, geez, I don't know that. Yeah,
I think it's Welcome Matt V at Twitter. Are you on social media anywhere else you want people to follow you? That's pretty much it.
All the social medias.
Yeah, you got the Facebook too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There.
Great. Okay, he's kind of mad about his social media, but follow him there anyway.
I'm trying. I'm really trying.
Great.
To get back into it.
All right. Thank you again for listening. Thanks for reading Tough Pigs, and thanks for just being you.
15 Seconds to Curtain is hosted and produced by Joe Hennis.
You call that a podcast?
It was edited by Jared Fairclough.
Who let the Muppet Mindset guy in here?
Logo artwork by Dave Hulteen and Jay Fosgate.
Great artists, so they must be in it for the paycheck.
Theme music by Stacy Rosen.
It took all these people to make this nonsense?
This has been a Muppet Fan podcast brought to you by ToughPigs.com.
And it's finally over!